And it does look like we are on our way. Uncle there going to watch the modular tutorial. Not a bad idea. It's not an easy boss. As we find the first item, bombs. So who knows?
So for those that are unfamiliar with what might be going on here, this for the spring tournament here, we are doing standard mode, which means that we have to rescue Zelda from the escape sequence here at the beginning of the game. This usually takes most runners somewhere in the neighborhood of about 6 or 7 minutes to get through, but we're coming up on the uncle here, so we'll see what he's got. It's bombs!
Looks like my prediction has come true.
Commentator's curse.
It'll be interesting to see, but that might be negated almost instantly by the acquisition of that hammer.
What?
Looks like both of our predictions kind of came true.
Yeah.
As we see both our runners heading into the castle here, hammer in hand. Of course, we are most likely not going to see any bomb threats, unfortunately, due to the hammer is basically a tempered sword. It will do level 3 damage against enemies, as well as have infinite amounts of uses.
Yeah, we got a little hype for those potential bomb strats there, but they were quickly vanquished by the hammer emerging. But still be nice to see how this all plays out here.
Bit of trouble using the hammer there. The hammer is kind of an awkward weapon to use due to the hitbox is surprisingly small for what you would imagine a hammer to be.
It is definitely, and you know, in facing in certain directions, that hitbox seems to get smaller and smaller when you're facing like up or down. It's a little bit trickier. The side to sides I find are a little bit better, but yeah, it's a tough one.
It looks like our runners have a particular strategy in mind when using the hammer. I saw both of our runners walk up and down the stairs in order to set up the guard. Of course, we will be coming up here to the ball and chain guard. Will be no problem with the hammer, as we will take Zelda back upstairs. Magic powder. I wonder what Zelda was using that for.
That'll be a nice item to find early on. With the hammer as well, they'll be able to check out the magic bat right away on their first visit to Kakariko, which doesn't happen too often.
Oh, that is very true. Very true. Of course, in general, having powder for the later dungeons is always a blessing, as health management can be quite tricky in the later levels.
Absolutely. It's one of the nicest safeties to have, I find, is that powder. To be able to turn any anti-fairy or bunny beam into a fairy, very worthwhile.
Our first little route divergence here. Kirby deciding to go to the right side, which, while in transition, is not very different. I do believe that the enemy arrangements are just that little bit different, that it might actually affect depending on the RNG that is given.
It definitely looked friendlier on Kirby's side there. He was able to get through with no problem, whereas the guards get a little bit cluttered on the left side when you're coming back.
Yes, as both of our runners are heading into the sewer escape sequence, of course we'll not be farming for those bombs, as we have already received about a dozen bombs from our uncle here. We'll be finding the glove upgrade in the dark cell here.
Huh.
Or sewer, rather.
So we're just a moon pearl away from Dark World access at this point.
Very true. Of course, our runners will be looking for that moon pearl in order to not have to kill Ganon. Of course, we still have a lot of locations to check, including the entirety of the Kakariko loop.
And the mirror. Wow. Pretty nice starter kit here so far.
Although the mirror will not unlock anything right away, it is one of those nice items to have due to some one-off locations. Once we do find the moon pearl and get our Dark World access, the mirror will be quite useful. As we see SlimKirby finishing escape in 6 minutes 10, which is a solid time overall.
Okay. Map check there. So we got our 5 crystal at Tower of Hera. Green pendant is vanilla at Eastern Palace, and the desert was another regular crystal. Just some arrows from the tree pole there.
The order only giving off single rupees. Not as useful, but the coming item might be crucial knowledge here. And it's only a full heart, so it's looking pretty good for an Aghanim-less seed so far.
Yeah, definitely. Given what we've seen so far, it's a pretty low percent, I'd say, that we're going to see Aghanim in this seed.
The Lost Woods having more bombs. Our runners don't seem to be getting enough bombs, though.
Heart container is always nice to find early on here. 3 hearts is no joke, so to be up to 5 at this point is a nice little buffer.
Definitely, of course, health will likely not play a big role until we actually start dungeon diving. The main priority of our runners right now is getting enough rupees, because there is a particular item that can only be acquired by spending 100 rupees on the bottle vendor in Kakariko Village. Of course, we're going to get a handful of rupees here from Blind's hut, sorry, as well as 4 items here. Starting with a piece of heart ether as well as even more bombs and money. Our runners will definitely get enough for the bottle vendor. And another piece of heart in the back, unfortunately. Not what our runners are looking for, but at this point, with this low health count, getting a piece of heart in this point in the game might help our runners later on, as whenever a fourth heart piece is collected, it will completely refill your health.
And you're always hoping that comes up at like a totally clutch time. Ooh, hey, fire rod.
Indeed, an exciting item to find, and our first bottle as well, which means that we can pretty much full clear the Kakariko area right from the get-go here. As we also find our first sword.
Pretty bad deal from the bottle vendor there.
I guess he still gave a discount. As we almost get a chicken clip here, and we find Quake already having 2 out of the 3 medallions must be a relief for our runners, because the chance of bombos being required for either dungeon is quite substantially lower. Of course, it is still possible that that you may need bombos to get into either of them, but by the looks of things, they will not have any trouble with the medallions.
Yeah, having 2 out of 3 early on is a nice feeling. You might be more inclined to even like take the gamble and head over to Misery Mire or Turtle Rock, assuming you've got the right medallion already.
Yes, and we do see SlimKirby remembering that powder. Of course, whatever items are acquired this early, it is very possible that it will just slip your mind, because normally you would go through Kakariko without really any items. So we'll just have to see if this will give SlimKirby an early advantage. Looks like it's not going to pay out here for SlimKirby, as Spiffers goes to the race game immediately, opting not to check the item first. And in this case, did not end up saving time. Decides to save and quit out, and we will probably see the South Shore loop there from Spiffers.
Yeah, I think South Shore is probably the play here for sure. We'll have the dam, whatever is in the drained part of the swamp. Mini Moldorm might get a trip up to the Ice Rod Cave. So a lot of item density in this part of the world. Good check early on to do.
We do see Spiffers opting to skip the dam for now, as we see the mini Moldom cave. We'll be seeing sword and bomb strats here.
Looks like Slim might be looking to do Houlihan, I imagine, seeing he's kind of low on cash at the moment.
Oh yes, we are nowhere near the money for Zora, as we find in the mini Moldom cave not only the Moon Pearl giving us Darkfall access, but also the silver arrows. Of course, we would still need to find the bow to make use of those, but silvers are definitely a nice safety to find early on. Now, to give a little bit of an explanation of what SlimKirby did there, in this game, meanwhile, while Spiffers finds the lamp in the dam chest, in order to get sent to the Chris Houlihan room, which is the name given to a contest winner from Nintendo Power magazine, you have to disposition the camera ever so slightly so that the game does not know where to put you. And because the game does need to put you somewhere, it'll default to the failsafe room, which is the Houlihan, which will also reward the player if they happen to find it accidentally. Of course, our runners know this game inside and outside, so know exactly how to get there, which will also give them some early rupees.
It's interesting to see Spiffers head over to the Agina Cave here. This one's a bit of an out-of-the-way location, and given that we've got our Dark World access, I thought maybe we'd see Hype Cave right away. But, you know, 300 rupees, that's that's definitely worthwhile, so not a bad play.
Not a bad play at all, as we see Slim picking up his Dark World access. As we will probably see Spiffers heading up it to Death Mountain.
Hey, this isn't a bad play either. We'll have, with the mirror in hand, we'll have access to Tower of Hera, and then that'll also be give us access to all of the chests on the east part of Death Mountain as well.
Yes, the East Mountain, of course, holding about 8 to 9 items, which tends. It is always nice to go for these for the high item locations, because at this point we need quite a lot to get through this seed. In fact, we don't even know what we need at all to complete this seed. So going to these item-rich locations is always a good idea within the randomizer.
Just a bomb upgrade from the old man there.
And by the looks of things, I do believe that we will see SlimKirby here forming the fake Flippers glitch. Will be setting up himself to be 1 pixel away from the screen transition by using a bomb recoil, which is a setup you don't often see, but this will of course give him access to check this island here, the Lake Haina Island, as well as get Hobo. So we'll just have to wait and see whatever lies under this bridge.
Meanwhile, Spiffers has seen something very interesting on Spectacle Rock here. He's going to be picking up the flute.
Also a very nice item to get, of course. I did miss that. As we do see our first dungeon dive of this seed. Unfortunately, only a piece of heart at the Hobo. Slim opting to save and quit out, and will probably follow in Spiffers' footsteps.
So Spiffers has found 1 item already in Tower of Hera, so there's only 1 remaining. Could still be something progression related, but even if not, this is a dungeon that is a crystal, so it is worth clearing out for sure.
Definitely, it is one of the more quote-unquote easy dungeons, being one of the 3 first dungeons you have to complete in the vanilla game. So the requirements for getting up here are not that much. Of course, that does not mean that there will be progression here for our runners. Or if there happens to be something in, say for example, the basement chest here, and our runners decide it's not worth the time, that might come back to bite them.
So Spiffers is going to be taking on Moldorm here. With the fighter sword, it's not a very fun fight, so probably going to use some hammer strats here. And immediately gets trolled.
Jumps onto the head of our worm here. Has to try again.
So Slim giving us a map check there. Turtle Rock and Swamp Palace are our other 2 pendants, and I think I saw Pod as the other 5/6 crystal.
I unfortunately did miss that as I was focusing on this Moldorm fight here. As we do see Moldorm giving a pretty nasty pattern here to Spiffers. Last phase here. Moldorm not inclined to come over here, but will be taken down here with a fighter sword spin for a small key. And with that, 20 minutes in, we receive our first crystal.
That's a pretty good feeling to knock off a crystal dungeon 20 minutes in. It's kind of, you feel like you're setting, you know, a good pace at this point. So that's good.
Definitely so. Of course, we have a lot of race to go before we are even remotely close to finishing it, but it does gotta feel good to not have to like get a crystal not too long into the run here. Actually, do see Sparrow Cave without the boots, unfortunately. Here.
Yes, the infamous walk of shame here.
Of course, nothing shameful if the boots happen to be in here, which I have unfortunately had the experience with once or twice.
Okay, so Bombo's medallion there. That means that for Misery Mire, it's not really going to matter which medallion you need because we've got all three.
That is definitely a great piece of mind to have. As we see SlimKirby also taking a full to Moldorm. Meanwhile, Spiffers checking out the Paradox Cave. We're picking up the Book of Medora, which will give us access to the Desert Palace. And having a Fire Rod, we can in fact complete that dungeon. Yeah,
so long as it's not boot blocked with the one item on that torch possibly being a key. Yeah, it's more, you're maybe more inclined to head over there now. There might still be other places that might be a little higher up on the list, though, so we'll have to see where Spiffers decides to go next.
Meanwhile, Kirby does finish off his Moldorm, gets his crystal in return.
Spiffers heading over to Kakariko to activate his flute.
Meanwhile, a mail upgrade on the floating island.
That's a tough one. If they don't see the other mail upgrade at any point in the run, that one might come into play. It is a bit of a time sink to get over there, but if it's the only option, then they might want to go for it. Blue mail over green mail is a substantial upgrade, so might go for it.
Definitely. I believe it doubles your defensive capabilities by half.
Yeah, and for most of our runners, usually that one upgrade is enough, and it feels like it's enough of a safety that you're in good shape for the rest of your run. The red mail is a nice luxury to have, but blue is kind of where it's at, I think, for most runners.
Definitely, as we get another map check here from Spiffers as he heads into the Skull Woods area.
I like the little double check there. Yes, this is going to be a crystal dungeon, right? Because he can get through Skull Woods if he chooses. So yeah, just wanted to make sure that it was worthwhile to take a dip in here.
Yes, we do have a fire rod to get into the back half, as well as a sword in order to clear the vines, which is something that I do think some of our runners still get caught up on. when you're like in front of the vines and you're like, oh yeah, I don't have a sword.
It's like the worst feeling. You feel like such an idiot.
Of course, only 2 items here in Skullwoods, but so far nothing much of value that I have seen.
No, neither have I.
We did find the big key though, which gave us access to this big chest, which in turn prompted Spiffers to perform a neat little trick called a bomb jump. If you line yourself up just right, within ooh, unfortunately, has a little too little health in order to tank the hits, but is going to try again. But to continue my explanation, if you are within 2 pixels of the pit, a bomb recoil is enough to put you over the gap, as we find the cape in the big chest.
And we thank you for standing for the Hylian national anthem there. Slim is making his way into the Dark World, I imagine, next.
Yes, of course, Spiffers, with the cape in hand, is going to check out the bump cave item. And Spiffers says no to that piece of heart.
Ooh, looks like we might see some North Dark World here. I'm going to be checking out, I guess, the Graveyard Ledge.
Definitely not a bad decision. The Graveyard Ledge is another one of those locations that is often left behind.
And it's always kind of tough to figure out when is the best time to give it a go. But, you know, right now, why not maybe start working their way over towards... Well, actually, probably can't get over to Catfish and the like. So this might be just here and then back to Thieves Town, perhaps.
Yes, neither of our runners has been to the Zora area yet, even though both of our runners do have the 500 rupees required. Meanwhile, SlimKirby checking out the village of the Outcast. Finds a second sword in the C-shaped house that is not only required, but very much appreciated by our runners, of course. As we do see our first dip into Thieves Town. I believe we are about to see the same routing here from Spiffers, as it looks like he is heading to complete his village of Outcast loop. As we find money in the Thieves Town.
So 2 more chests in the front half here. Going to probably get a big key and maybe one of the dungeon items at this point. Oh, okay. Or shield upgrade.
Yes, which is...
I was going to say, I believe that leaves just 1 item left in the back half of Thieves Town for our runners to find.
Yes, very true, but also with that second shield, we are coming closer to maybe a required laser bridge. As by logic, it is required to have the mirror shield or an invincibility item. Of course, I have no doubt that both of these runners know how to perform what's called the laser skip. But but knowing what certain locations require does help you figure out where the seed kind of wants you to go, in case you do sequence break.
That second shield that we've picked up here is also pretty clutch for the upcoming boss fight. Blind can be a bit of a bullet hell if you're not careful, so having that shield that'll block those fireballs is going to come in handy.
That is very true. Of course, the blind fight can be completely scripted if you do the exact same thing every time, the fight will turn out the exact same. But if you mistime one slash, even once, it can pretty much throw up the entire sequence.
So Spiffers was a bit low on health there, but managed to find 2 hearts, which is a nice little boost there.
Yes, and as I see the ruckus in chat, Pedestal is dropping in likelihood, as unfortunately Spiffers takes a death in the Thiefstown Hellway. Does decide to go back in and push onwards. SlimKirby starting the blind fight. Already done with phase number 1. Each phase will take 3 hits of pretty much anything, be it sword beams, sword slashes, hammer hits. Which is one of the few quirks of this boss, that it pretty much does not matter what type of weapon you have. It'll always do 1 damage for 9 total hits, as SlimKirby defeats Blind, getting his 2nd crystal.
So it looks like Slim might head for Skullwoods next. Or maybe taking on, maybe looking over at Graveyard Ledge first.
Definitely an interesting choice in routing here. Of course, within the randomizer, there is no such thing as a bad choice. There are only less optimal choices, because truly, with everything being randomized, it could possibly be that in the lowest percentage might be the item that you are looking for. Unfortunately, we as commentators do know that there will be nothing but a single rupee here on the Graveyard Ledge. Throws a bomb in frustration, does not want to have anything to do with that rupee. Meanwhile, Spiffers is heading down to rescue the maiden. Much like we did with Zelda, although it won't end the same, I'm quite sure.
making sure to powder the bunny beam underneath that pot there for the fairy. Very nice.
Yes, bunny beams can only be powdered and turned into fairies if they are stationary. Once they start moving, they are pretty much useless.
So it'll be interesting to see if Slim goes for the full clear here. We saw Spiffers take a look at some of the chests in this dungeon and then take off. Maybe thinking that, you know, a 7-heart Mothula fight might not be so much fun.
Yes, it is definitely one of the more difficult bosses in this game due to the high amount of randomness that is involved with it. SlimKirby, in everyone's favorite Gypto dancing room, having a little bit of trouble manipulating the Gyptos. The left one does seem to stay, and he does manage to get through without too much trouble. We'll be able to death walk right after getting this chest here, just for a compass. Oh, never mind, making a lie out of me. Does opt to pilot the fairy in order to heal back up.
Looked like he was maybe going to bail out there, but then thought, oh no, I'm right here. I should probably take a look in the back here. Maybe go right through to Mothula.
Yes, you are already here, so you might as well take at least one swing at the moth fight. Of course, at this point, with a maximum of 6 hearts, this is not going to be an easy fight, but by no means an impossible one. Meanwhile, Spiffers did remember to cash in that powder. As we see SlimKirby executing the Gyptos with the Bombos Medallion. In my opinion, the Bombos Medallion should light all of the torches in a room, as it creates an immense amount of fire.
Yeah, you would think, right?
Yes, we do see the digging game here from Spiffers. "11 digs for only a vanilla piece of..."
So while Slim drops into the moth fight, I imagine Spiffers is going to head down to the south part of Darkwold here.
Yes, with that mirror in hand, as I mentioned earlier, we'll be able to check a couple of these one-up locations. Slim switching over to the Fire Rod, expertly takes down Moth. A great display of execution here, only losing 2 hearts in the process.
Yeah, very nice.
Receiving his 3rd crystal. Meanwhile, only 50 rupees in Cave 45, Cave south of Haunted Grove, Cave of Circle of Bushes, and the Ice Rod. The Ice Rod, which is not necessarily required and might not be something our runners want to see at this point.
Yeah, right.
Of course, we still need a couple more items in order to get into the Turtle Rock dungeon, which is the only dungeon that requires the Ice Rod. It does look like we will be seeing a pedestal check here. Now, the only thing that can be on here are the boots or an item leading to it. Unfortunately, I'm not sure if that was only on my end.
What
I did. Oh no!
On our commentary stream here, unfortunately, yeah, I did not see it as well, but hopefully it'll come up in the on the Twitch stream for everyone.
I just checked and it doesn't look like it actually came through. So we are still in the dark here. So depending on whatever SlimKirby decides to do, we can deduce whether or not it is a fetch quest item over for the boots itself, or just some more pocket change. I mean, what a time to lag out of.
Yeah.
That is a frame perfect trick, everyone, to juke out the commentators. No, just kidding. As we do see the Bombos medallion here from Spiffers, only finding a big 20.
So even though our runners have quite a few items that they'll need at some point to complete the game, we are kind of running low on locations to check, which is why Spiffer's heading into Desert Palace here. Not a bad play.
Definitely on this dungeon has been open to us for quite a substantial amount of time. Of course, we'll be checking whether or not it is boots locked.
Okay, finding the big key. So this dungeon can be completed, whether or not we'll get into the right side. Oh, fairy in a bottle. So that's one of the items here. There will be one other that we'll be able to access in the dungeon.
Yes, and with the acquisition of that small key, we will be able to check these two chests here on the right side, which will most likely contain our other item.
Spiffer's just thinking for a second there. That's both items, right? That's both, right? Okay, let's go. No need to check that last chest there on the right side.
Yes, keeping your item counts is definitely another big part of the randomizer in order to get through things nice and quickly. Now, also, in the meantime, while we see Slim digging here and Spiffers is going to see what is on the ledge here, I would like to point out that with this version of the randomizer, our runners not only have the choice of choosing a custom sprite, as we can see with the app Kirby here on the left side, they also have the choice to change the color of their hearts.
Yeah, that was a new addition to account for potential color blindness, because we've had some people in the community let us know that for people who are colorblind to the red, they can't tell what their health is. So we've kind of changed the color to red, green, yellow, or blue, so runners can choose a color that works for them.
Definitely, as Slim picks up his item here from good old Stumpy. Meanwhile, Spiffer's about to head into the Landmola's fight. I'm getting my bosses mixed up here. We'll be able to take care, as we will most likely see the Fire Rod strats. Of course, only 2 Fire Rod shots per worm here in order to take care of him. Does unfortunately miss the one cycle. but nonetheless a very quick fight here. Now, on that note of accessibility, due to some color blindness issues, the images for both the green pendant as well as the 5 and 6 crystals, they do have a little sparkle on them in order to make them more easily differentiatable when looking at the map. And while on that topic, we also have a location on the Pyramid of Power, the Fat Fairy location, which will hold 2 chests. Of course, in the vanilla game, you would need to get pendant number 5, or crystal number 5, and crystal number 6 in order to gain access to the big bomb in Dark World Link's house. It does look like our 5-6 crystals for this run will be Palace of Darkness and Skull Woods. So depending on where we find the bow, we may have some progression at the Cursed Fairy.
Kirby leaving a bomb with the generous guy there. Not very nice. So Slim making his way over to East Dark World here. Pyramid item needs to be checked. Maybe up to Catfish and loop that in with some Zora stuff. And then could see a dive into Pod, but I'm 50-50 on that one happening.
Yes, definitely. With that mirror in hand, and neither of our runners having checked Zora, that will be quite an optimal play, as we do see Spiffers entering Fake Flippers. I don't believe we saw SlimKirby checking out Zora while he was Fake Flippering, so we might see it here from Spiffers. Has to watch out not to get hit, because when you are in the Fake Flipper state, whenever you get damaged by anything in the normal game, Japanese 1.0, if you have transitioned away from the screen you entered, you will be put back on what the game believes to be land. But in actuality, it is just another water tile, which will essentially softlock you. And in order to prevent that, the Randomizer developers have put in a failsafe which will remove any and all fairies, as well as outright kill you, so you don't have a choice but to respawn.
Slim just missing the correct spot to mirror out to check Sahasrah's hut here. But this is a place that we haven't seen yet, so 3 items that have been up for grabs since the very beginning of the run, pretty much.
Yes, the entirety of the eastern part of the Light World has been ignored by our runners.
Oh, wow. Boots and mitts?
Wow, those are some amazing items to find.
I bet Slim feels immediately behind now, because this was a location that could have been checked so early on. But little does he know that Spiffers has also not checked the Sahasrah's hut yet.
Yes, those are definitely some things that you'd like to find as early as possible. I couldn't tell, but I believe that was Wake required for Misery Maya. Of course, it doesn't matter to our runners, as we have all possibilities for the medallions here.
This is really nice rooting from Slim here, able to check out Desert Palace now, immediately after checking the Misery Mire area.
Slim with those boots in hand will be able to retrieve the bottled fairy hair on the torture course, which Spiffers unfortunately missed as he checked the Pyramid of Power. Will most likely be seeing his visit to the catfish. And I don't believe we saw him go up to Zora, which he might route in now with his catfish check.
Yeah, that seems like a likely course of action at this point.
Now, of course, it will be interesting to see whenever Spiffers decides to go back to Sahala Rashalala in order to get his boots and Titan's mitts. Something like that, right?
Yeah. hopefully sooner rather than later, because those two items are going to give Slim a pretty big advantage. I can see Spiffers kind of getting locked out, you know, kind of running into dead ends. He's going to need both of those items to progress, I'm thinking. So hopefully we'll get there pretty quickly.
Yes, of course, the boots not really unlocking a lot of stuff except for a couple out-of-the-way locations. It is, of course, one of the fastest methods of travel, as we see Spiffers here taking a look at the Zora ledge, finding only, I believe, an arrow upgrade. We'll be getting Zora's item as well in just a second here. What does the fish have for us today? Another swindle. Unfortunately, we are only getting life lessons today from our... SlimKirby finishes off the Desert Palace.
It'll be kind of interesting to see where Slim decides to go next. We're still missing some of the key items needed to get into the remaining dungeons that he's got on the list here. Ice Palace, we don't have the flippers yet, although you can fake flipper in. But Misery Mire, we don't have Cane of Samaria. And Pod, we don't have the bow yet. So still a little bit of work to be done to try and figure out where to go next.
Yes, we definitely have... Excuse me. Sorry, I had to clear my throat then. We still have a lot of sea to go to, ladies and gentlemen. This race is very much still on, because as much as a randomizer is a randomizer, a race is still a race until the final moment. Meanwhile, we will see Spiffers picking up his boots and his Titan's mitts here, as SlimKirby will be checking out Agina's cave.
Looks like Spiffers just taking a moment here to figure out what to do with these newly acquired items.
Yes, it will be interesting to see where he goes. Does decide to also take a look at the Maya area here. We'll be able to get all of the items here outside of the dungeon. It will be interesting to see if Spiffers will opt to take a quick look into Misery Maya, as I don't believe we saw SlimKirby going in there.
No, he didn't. So there's only a couple items in Misery Mire, but, you know, as it is the randomizer, as we've been talking about, they very well could be the item locations that we need to go visit. So never a bad play.
definitely. Misery Maya, of course, only having 2 unique items is not a very valuable dungeon. But for all we know, that could be pretty much where all of our progression is.
Slim's going to give us a look at probably the East Dark Death Mountain. So we'll have the Super Bunny Cave and can possibly pick up that mail upgrade now. Can't do too much in the Hookshot Cave, just the one chest that we can reach by bonking.
Yes, which is actually taken into account in the logic for the hookshot, can be in that first chest. We do find out here from SlimKirby's side that we need the Ether Medallion in order to get into the Turtle Rock dungeon. Meanwhile, Spiffers, picking up both of the rocks here in front of the blacksmiths, will be completing the hammer pegs by use of a very handy trick here called an item dash. Whenever the A button and the item button are pushed on the same frame, the dash will be executed, as well as the item's effects will be active throughout the duration of the dash. Unfortunately, Barry not playing nice here with Kirby. And to his bad luck, also accidentally picks up the rock, has to reload the area. As we only find a lot of money here in the first chest.
So Slim making his way over to Spike Cave next. Spiffers is going to show us what the purple chest is holding, so some interesting divergence here. Let's see which route pays off for our runners.
Yes, SlimKirby there, trying to get a fairy drop from the cardinal bushes there, is unfortunately unlucky with the drops, only gets a B for his troubles, as we will see some cave strats. Luckily though, we did pick up a red potion, so getting to Spike Cave will be no problem.
Just a red rupee in there. So what's it looking like? I think there's got to be something in Eastern Palace or Pod at this point, based on what the items that we have.
Yes, definitely. At this point, all we need for go mode are the Cane of Samaria and the bow, I believe.
Probably the hook shot as well, unless Slim and Spiffers are really up with their hovering, but I don't know if either of them do that.
That is true. I did forget about the final chest of the game, which only appears after defeating the Moldrum refight.
Oh, that's right. We forgot to mention the Cane of Samaria. So we still are, a couple items away from any kind of go mode at this point. So it's likely that we're going to get one item that'll then help us through one more dungeon, and so we're not going to get a whole whack of items at the same time and be able to kind of go mode a bunch. I'm thinking that we're just going to see kind of slowly knocking off locations one after another in this seed.
Yes, meanwhile, SlimKirby did find the mushroom here. We'll be seeing what that will yield for us today, as Spiffers opens up Turtle Rock for later use, as we find the bow and the witch's hut.
Oh, wow.
That's an amazing find. That will allow to not only clear Palace of Darkness, what also gives us access to that green pendant.
Just a little miscue with the flute there. Slim definitely going to do the pod Eastern double play, perhaps. Definitely pod, maybe Eastern Palace if he doesn't find anything in pod.
Yes, whenever possible, we'll be avoiding the pendant dungeons as they are not required at all in order to beat the goal of this seed. Meanwhile, as we do see Spiffers opting to collect the mail up here on the...
This is an interesting play that could pay off for Spiffers here if we don't get any, if we don't see too many more heart containers. Green mail for some of these later dungeons, Ganon's Tower, it's never fun. So having the blue mail might be a bit of an edge.
Yes, I do not blame Spiffers at all for opting to pick up the extra safety here, because for all we know, we could have a vanilla mail. It will be quite some time before we see the opportunity to see that, as Spiffers will be getting his 20 rubies here from the Spike Cave. Meanwhile, SlimKirby going to the Bowlock side of pod with bow and silvers in hand will be able to take care of these mimics real easily.
Ooh, Spiffers not making it in time through the Spike Cave. We know it's only 20 rupees, so hopefully he just kind of bails on this one for now, but might end up going back for it.
Yes, definitely. The worst thing that can happen is dying to a single item location, because in your head you're like, I could have had that item, and what if something is there? So it'll be interesting to see how that psychologically will affect our runners.
So it looks like he's opting to leave the Spike Cave at this point, which is the right call. Hopefully it doesn't have to go back and check that at a later point in the run.
As we do see SlimKirby here going to the vanilla big key location, sorry. So far it has been pretty much exclusively been small keys. As well as the big key finally. Of course, Palace of Darkness, the single dungeon in the game with the most amount of small keys. And in order to prevent a softlock, the randomizer will give you enough keys that no matter how you spend them, will not result in you being unable to complete this dungeon. Oh, unfortunately, the bridge collapses a bit too fast there on SlimKirby while they are trying to perform the hammer yum here. As we see Spiffers making his way towards the back of Skullwoods, will be finishing what he started quite some time ago. Will be getting his Mothler Crystal as well. As we see SlimKirby bailing on the bomb jump here, which is one of the more difficult bomb jumps, as you need to maneuver yourself around the collision of the railing. As we find the flippers
Ooh.
Now that does open up the Swamp Palace, which unfortunately is a crystal, but does house 6 unique items.
Swamp Palace is unfortunately a pendant, which is even worse.
Definitely so, as SlimKirby finds his 3rd sword upgrade here in the, I believe, Harmless Hellway in Palace of Darkness. Of course, by no means required in logic, but very welcomed by pretty much anyone, as the difference between a Master Sword Ganon and a Tempered Sword Ganon is quite substantial. As well as, in general, having more offensive power is never a bad thing. Ooh, unfortunately gets sniped by the mini Dudongos, I believe they're called. Does have that fairy that he picked up from the Desert Palace though, so we'll be moving onwards.
Mothula not really playing nice here with Spiffers, unfortunately, but slowly making his way through the fight here.
Yes, of course, you want to avoid Mothula hitting the spikes, as any damage done will be immediately negated by the way that this game has been coded. In the meantime, though, SlimKirby did find the 3rd and final shield upgrade, putting the laser blitz in logic as Spiffers expertly dispatches Mothula.
So at this point, Spiffers isn't really too far behind. Has to remember to trade in that mushroom. That's going to be really key here, because having that bow in hand is giving Kirby a bit of an edge at this point. So
turns out the pedestal only held a little piece of love here. At long last, we find out what SlimKirby has known for about 15 minutes or more.
Wow, I looked away from Slim's screen for a couple seconds there, and I realized, oh, he's got the Butter Sword, so 2 sword upgrades here in Pod. That's pretty awesome.
Oh my, I missed that myself as well as I was jotting down some notes there. Meanwhile, it does look like Spiffers is going to head into the Palace of Darkness, will be receiving all of his sword upgrades as well as his Mirror Shield shortly.
If only he had gone to the Witch's Hut and traded in that mushroom first. He is without the bow at this point.
Oh, I totally already forgot about that, yes. SlimKirby dispatches of the Hammersaw King. Now, there is a way for Spiffers to get a little bit further than you would normally be able to if he opts to use a minor glitch that has been discovered about, I'd say, 2 or 3 months ago, where if you use a potion before the first Mimic Room, while you are walking towards the left, you will unlock the camera in such a way that you are able to manipulate the mimics and move them off screen. Now, the Mimic Room is a room in the game which will open up once all of the enemies have been defeated. And the game will consider any enemy off screen to be unkillable, and therefore will automatically open the door without the need of the bow.
Yeah, it's a pretty interesting little glitch that has been found.
Yes, this game is by no means perfect. As we do see Spiffers here opting to take a peek into the Eastern Palace first, probably hoping to find the bow within its vanilla confinements here, unfortunately, we as commentators do already know where that bow is located, so it will be interesting to see what other items lie in the Eastern Palace.
Yeah, if there's anything, if there's cane or hook shot in here, that could give Spiffers a bit of an edge because it looks like Slim is kind of pieced out of the area and it's likely not going to head back in that direction. With the flippers having been just picked up, probably going to head over to Ice Palace in just a little while, I'd imagine.
Yes, definitely. With Eastern Palace being only a pendant, it does seem pretty unlikely for SlimKirby to go back there. But as I mentioned earlier, Fat Fairy holding our progression today with the Cane of Samaria. So now the question becomes, where is that hook shot?
Yikes. This is kind of an annoying situation to be in because, I mean, you only need it for that one little instance of crossing that gap up at the Moldorm 2 fight. So you're gonna have to put in the time to try and track it down when you only need it for that one usage for this run.
Yes, definitely. And I don't know if either of these runners are familiar with hovering. We do have the boots, so it is entirely possible that one of the runners might attempt to do Ganon style hook shotless, but we will just have to wait and see. As we do get a big piece of love from the catfish.
Looks like Spiffers might give us a dive into Misery Mire. Unfortunately, he's not going to find the Cane of Samaria in here, so won't be able to complete this dungeon, but could find, I guess, the hook shot, which might get him going in some direction.
Definitely, the hook shot is one of the two requirements to even enter this dungeon, but of course, having those boots, you are also able to bonk across. Instead opts to leave and mirror out. I wonder what he has realized.
I'm really hoping he's heading to a potion shop.
It looked like he is. Thankfully, he remembered it before spending too much time in Misery Mire here.
This is awesome. I'm glad to see this. This gives us a bit of a race here.
Yes, this is definitely getting down to the wire. Finding that bow might change his routing a little bit to go ahead and visit the Palace of Darkness again. We'll just have to see if he floats to 5 here. Looks like he is going to opt to go to Palace of Darkness.
So at this point, he is about one dungeon behind, but the item progression has been pretty straightforward, except for the hookshot, which is still out there somewhere. So it'll come down to whoever finds that first, I imagine.
Yes, that will definitely be the deciding factor. Who makes the correct choice in checking a few locations. Meanwhile, we see SlimKirby diving into Misery Mire here. Not one of the friendliest dungeons. Can be quite tricky to route yourself through due to the position of the big key. Of course, neither of our runners are in Goman at the moment, so for now it will not matter much where the big key is. so far, only small keys in Misery Mire.
Yeah, Misery Mire tends to be kind of an annoying dungeon like that. It can be real fast if it gives you everything you need in those first few chests that most people check. But if you've got to go to the left side here, light those torches, watch that lengthy cut scene, it becomes a bit of a slog.
It is definitely not a fun time. Little fun fact as well, the cutscene for the wall moving is the exact same length as the wall moving animation in Palace of Darkness. The fact that everyone believes it to be longer is purely psychological due to the fact that you cannot see the wall actually moving, so you cannot anticipate when it is done.
Huh. That's a very good point. I didn't think of it that way.
Yes, I didn't believe it at first either, but I timed it and it is pretty much the same. As we do see SlimKirby finding the big key here, will be making his way towards the big chest.
So is that is both items that we've come across here in Mire. So looks like nothing of value here. No hookshot.
Unfortunately not. The hookshot progression lies elsewhere.
I can see Slim wanting to put off the Ice Palace play in order to hopefully go mode it, but he's kind of running out of locations to check. Might be kind of forced into doing a full clear.
Yes, definitely. The Swarm Palace and Ice Palace are one of those dungeons that runners will preferably go mode if at all possible, or completely avoid. Of course, due to the nature of Randomizer, that may not always be possible, of course, so we might see a full clear of both dungeons if the seed decides to be exceptionally cruel.
Yeah, I mean, heading into Swamp Palace without the hookshot, something no runner wants to do, but there are chests available that you can access without the hookshot in that dungeon. Might have to take a look and see what's in there.
Yes, definitely. Depending on the layout of the items, that will open up some routing options. As we see SlimKirby entering the mid-piece fight, really opting for cape and spin strats here. Very effective at getting rid of the eyeballs. Of course, with those silver arrows, we'll be taking down Vitreous, one of the more higher HP bosses, taking two silver arrows in order to be defeated.
So Slim only has one crystal dungeon to do, that being Ice Palace, but without that hookshot, we're still not in go mode. So I imagine that Slim will probably check out Ice Palace first just to have that crystal done. But then after that, if we don't see the hookshot, Swamp Palace and we haven't even talked about Turtle Rock at this point. Both locations could have the hookshot.
Definitely. The hookshot is one of those items that has very few requirements in order for where it is absolutely necessary. Of course, a lot of locations also have the boots as an alternative. For example, within the hookshot cave, the very first chest either does require the hookshot or the boots, just as an example here. we do see Kirby opting to go into the Ice Palace, which at this point is not a bad idea. You have to complete this dungeon anyways, and depending on the key layout as well as whether or not you do the bomb jump, it might not differ very much from a full clear.
So with Spiffers just wrapping up Helmasaur here, it's going to be very interesting to see where he decides to go next with the items that he's got.
Yes, at this point, I would almost wonder if one decides to go back into Eastern Palace to finish as the Armor's Knight for that green pendant. I mean, you are already there next to Sasha, so it'll be a pretty quick check. Of course, whenever possible, runners will avoid pendant dungeons, so it'll be interesting to see if that will have an effect on Spiffer's routing here.
Ooh, looks like oh no, looks like he's not gonna go for it. I guess with the flippers kind of opening up possible locations, it's and he's gonna check the big bomb here, pick up the Cane of Samaria. That leaves just too much else on the table to warrant going back into a pendant dungeon.
Yes, we see SlimKirby here performing the Ice Palace bomb jump, having a little bit of trouble lining up, which most likely is due to the fact that the golden sword is actually the thickest of the swords within the game. Therefore it requires you to line up with 1 pixel higher as opposed to the tempered or master sword.
Yeah, I thought I noticed that there. It did look like the sword was a little bit closer to that bomb shadow there. And there's your reason why, yeah. Very cool.
Yes, of course, there are multiple cues in order to set up bomb jumps and the like by either using Link's shadow or Link's sprite itself, of course. For Slim's side here is not using the vanilla sprites, so it just depends on how familiar our runners are with their custom sprites.
So Spiffers picks up his Cane of Samaria, is likely gonna make probably the same play as Slim and head over to Misery Myers, what I would imagine he'd do.
And your prediction does look like it's going to be true. Because with the acquisition of the Cane of Samaria, that does allow you to complete a crystal dungeon, which in my opinion is always the better option to go ahead and complete dungeons you can complete before diving into dungeons that might not be required. SlimKirby are having a little bit of trouble sliding in on the ice. Both gets through with little trouble. We'll be attempting another bomb jump here. Oop. Does not get the lineup correctly though. Decides to bail on that one before anything goes south. As we do see Spiffers taking on the main bulk of Misery Maya here. Who unfortunately misses the bomb jump.
And kind of more dire, he doesn't have any bombs at all. So looks like we're going to see just the cold stare fight at this point.
Oh yes, very true. it does look like Slim is opting to use the bombos first in order to preserve the majority of his magic. Of course, with that Gold Sword might not even be necessary. So far, 1 puff down, 2 puffs down, still has to be careful, and there goes number 3.
All right, Slim, so where do you go next? We've got to find that hook shot.
Now, one thing to note is, technically, Slim has access to Ganon's tower, I believe.
Yes, he does.
And for all intents and purposes, the logic may have put hookshot within Ganon's tower itself.
Yeah, I've always been a little bit fuzzy on whether or not the hookshot can be in there with Ice Palace as one of your required dungeons, because there's that section in Ice Palace that if you're doing a full clear does require the hookshot. But yeah, I mean, it could be up there.
That is true, although I believe with the way that the keys have been so far, I think it's not necessarily required. Of course, I am not a great router myself, so please, if I'm wrong, feel free to correct me on that. But other than that, pretty much the entirety of Ganon's tower and anything accessible without using a bomb jump, which are not within logic. But other than that, it can pretty much be anywhere at this point. Of course, we also haven't found the shovel either, which may be a red herring if our runners happen to find it, perhaps within GT itself. Because then the choice becomes, do you continue exploring, or are you expecting the sort of Plando approach here? Of course, for those not knowing, a Plando is a shortening of a planned randomizer in which an actual human goes in and fine-tunes where every item is, which leads to some pretty trolly combinations, as I hope you didn't blink, because the eye is down. Spiffer's expertly taken care with these silver arrows.
So Spiffers is likely going to be following in Slim's footsteps here. I imagine that Ice Palace will be his next move as well. We still haven't seen the hook shot, so it will kind of come down to where that ends up being, where the play is after this Ice Palace clear.
Yes, the next decision our runners make will pretty much make or break this race, as we do see a vanilla mail upgrade in the Ice Palace, which incidentally happens to be the actual vanilla for SlimKirby, as he did not opt to pick up the floating island mail upgrade.
So Slim has not yet taken care of Purple Chest and Blacksmiths yet, so he's likely doing that right now. Spiffers already has, and there was nothing of note there, so that's going to give Spiffers a little bit more time to catch up here.
Yes, I do believe that I would agree with this play by clearing overworlds before doing pendant dungeons. Of course, every single call that is made is might be the turning point, as truly it can be anywhere at this point, as we've said multiple times. And we are running out of locations to check here. Excuse me?
So as our runners kind of cross over and retrace each other's steps, just wanted to quickly shout out to our runners. Please follow them. They put on a really excellent race for you today, so they'd appreciate a little bit of love from you guys. And a shout out to our tracker Reg, who's been killing it behind the scenes here, keeping track of everything for us. Much love. Thank you for that.
Definitely making our jobs a lot easier. Because I could not, for the love of me, keep track of all the locations that our runners has been to. So again, big shout outs and thank yous to our lovely tracker, as well as everyone involved with the speedrunning community. As well as shout outs to chat for being chat.
As always, yep.
You always want to keep chat happy.
So I wonder if we're seeing a Turtle Rock play here from Slim. By the number of chests that are available, it seems like it's got the most bang for your buck. It is going to be a bit of a long clear to try and get through all of it, but yeah, the most item locations I think left for him to investigate.
Yes, of course, Turtle Rock is quite high up there with the amount of unique items. At 5, it is only 1 behind the Swan Palace. Of course, Turtle Rock is, in my opinion, a little bit trickier to get around, as it is, I believe, a slightly larger dungeon in terms of spacing in between chests and the stuff. But still not a bad play, especially considering that if the hookshot ends up being within Turtle Rock, SlimKirby is already up here on Dark Death Mountain, so it'll be just a quick trip over to Ganon's Tower.
Ooh, he might be just going for Ganon's Tower at this point.
Oh, it looks like that is the way. Now, to be real quick about this, we have a tradition of predicting where the big key is going to be. So, to cut to the chase, where do you expect either the hookshot or the big key to be?
Yeah, let's get the game going in chat here. I think I can get this going.
So quickly get your numbers in before the first chest is open, guys.
I don't know if I got the bot going or not, unfortunately.
I hope that worked. This is, of course, one of your non-standard situations here, where the runners are not in go mode while they are in Ganon's Tower. We see SlimKirby opting to go for the tile room first. Of course, making use of a little exploit here with the way that the game handles magic depletion. Whenever the cape is active and you are holding a wall, you don't have to tug on the wall, you just have to hold A. The magic meter will not deplete, which makes the tile room pretty much a coffee break. As chest number 3 only has a red rupee, Meanwhile, we do see Spiffers attempting the other Ice Palace bomb jump successfully executed. Of course, not having the hook shot is required to do that in order to get over the gap there.
So Slim grabbing a key from the left side there and is now going to be heading to the right side of Ganon's tower once more. I guess because these are the only chests that are in logic, I guess, at this point?
Yes, the rest of the chests on the left side would otherwise require a bomb jump.
Yeah, chat pointing out that the one location on the left side that Slim can get to is the fire bar room by bonking all the way down to it.
Oh yes, I guess that is a possibility. It will be interesting to see whether or not SlimKirby remembers it as we do find the big key. And for those of you keeping track, that was number 7. Now, scrolling back in the chat log here, quite a number of people have called the lucky number 7. So, for today, what will our lucky viewers receive for guessing correct?
I believe the prize is still a holdover from previous tournaments, and that is a Herfy Durfy's Love.
Ooh, and that is a deal, ladies and gentlemen.
So this will be really interesting. Slim choosing to nope out of Ganon's tower, looking at possibly checking other dungeons here first. But with the big key on the right side, as we're seeing in chat, it makes the upper reaches of Ganon Tower a possibility here. I believe. Right? Plus the Ice Armos as well. You would have 3 chests behind Ice Armos as well that you could have got to.
Yes, definitely. It will be interesting to see whether or not that might backfire. Unfortunately, SlimKirby here coming to the painful conclusion that he still does not have the hookshot here. Has to go the long way around for the fire rod touch puzzle here. Gets it though on his second go around with a little bit of magic to spare.
This is a pretty wild seed here that it's come down to a hook shot that no one seems to be able to find.
Yeah, maybe Ganon has actually smartened up a bit and actually hit the hook shot in the Moldrum 2 chest.
Yeah, the one like right before there. Oh, that'd be really mean.
That'll be so trolly for our runners. So, as we do see Spiffers taking the dive into Eastern Palace here.
Yeah, because we do know that the Armos Knights are holding an item. We just have no idea what it is. So this is not a bad play. Plus, I think we've got the green pendant here as well. Turning that into Sahasrara might give us the hookshot as well.
That is correct. Sahasrara is right next to Eastern Palace. Meanwhile, SlimKirby will be making his way towards the vanilla beaky location. It will be interesting to see if he decides to get the item or get the key here and leave. Does opt to check it, of course, and Spiffer's having a little bit of trouble getting the Armor's Knights to line up, but has no trouble finishing off.
Meanwhile, Slim, wow, finds the hook shot on the lava island in Turtle Rock.
That means that SlimKirby is officially in go mode.
And with the big key to Ganon's tower already in hand, we'll be able to go right up the tower here.
Yes, no need to check any other chests. Having silver arrows, blue mail, and the level 4 sword here, I doubt that our runners will have any trouble getting through the gauntlet here.
And unfortunately, I'm thinking that Spiffers might be taking a dip into Swamp Palace.
Who, it does look like he is heading in that direction. Coming down to the amount of items, this, by me anyways, would be considered the better play due to more items being in Swamp Palace. Of course, we as commentators and chat, we already know where that hookshot is hiding, all the way in Turtle Rock.
So, Slim enters the gauntlet section of Ganon's tower here.
Of course, the gauntlet housing some of the most difficult rooms in the game, with BMOs on conveyor belts as well as extremely random enemies. But with all of the tools available to our runners, both the rods, the Cape Gold Sword, Blue Mail, it will only be a minor setback here before SlimKirby makes his way into the second Len Molas fighter. Successfully gets to one cycle. Nicely done.
Very nice.
Up to the second floor as we unfortunately see Spiffers pushing onwards into the Swamp Palace.
Unfortunately, the Canis Samaria block's not playing nicely with Slim there.
Does manage to get the trick shot there for the triple kill. Is into the torch room, has to light these 4 torches and get through the door in time. Now, there is one little catch. If you happen to be extremely unlucky and time it so that the door closes as you're transitioning, the game gets a little confused because you are basically standing inside of a door. The game will unload all of these sprites in order to make sure that you are still in control. But what that does is it'll unload even the Aghanim sprite, making the tower incompletable.
Yeah, it's a very rare glitch to come across, but it can absolutely ruin any run.
Definitely, especially when you are on a possible sub 2 pace, as SlimKirby takes down Mulder opts to skip the final chest in the game to save the frames and finish off Ganon.
After getting knocked around a little bit by the mini Helmosaurus there, manages to get through.
Meanwhile, Spiffers is making a visit to the left side here. Unfortunately, the vanilla hookshot dream will not come true for our runner today here, as we are already at 2 boobles here from Ganon. Nice double there, I believe, to finish off Ganon. Now, I would like to note that Slim is rather low on magic, and I don't believe he has any potions left, so I hope that he remembers to perhaps go back to the potion shop to stock up a little.
Well, he's going right into the fight here. We'll definitely have to be very careful with his limited magic at this point.
Definitely, although with the silvers in hand, this is very much not impossible. As well as having the gold sword will make the Ganon fight fairly trivial, as trivial as the Ganon fight can be, of course. We'll still have to look out for the Ganon hugs, as they have a base damage of 8 hearts, which is still fairly damaging, even with blue mail. Now, the one thing that SlimKirby will want to do is to get the torch glitch here, which he will be attempting right now. Unfortunately, he spams a little bit too hard and runs out of magic. Has to retreat from the Ganon fight and come back with a little more magic. I would like to take this time, though, to explain what the torch glitch is. Within the Ganon fight, as you just saw, there are 2 torches on the bottom of the room. They will be both lit through the first through third phase. Whenever the 4th phase is around, the torches will both go out in order to make Ganon disappear. Now, if one were to light the left torch before the right one goes out, the trigger for the right torch to go out is completely skipped, thus saving about half the amount of magic necessary. And due to our runners not finding half magic, that will be a very nice safety to have. As we do see Spiffers entering the Turtle Rock.
We'll soon be picking up his hookshot on the Lava Island. Here's one of those Ganon hugs you were talking about. There's 6 hearts of damage, even with the blue mail.
Yes, it is definitely something that our runners will want to avoid here, as SlimKirby does opt to refill his hearts there. expertly dodges all of the fire bats. As we are getting quite a lot of teleports here from the big pig. As Slim here enters the fourth phase, successfully pulls off the torch place I mentioned earlier. We'll be trying to get maybe two hits in per cycle here. One more arrow will do the job, and down is the pig for SlimKirby.
So SlimKirby finishes with an official time of 1:51.26. Get your GGs in the chat.
Got him!
So Spiffers not that far behind, really, all considered in this seed. Picking up their hook shot and on their way into Ganon's tower now.
Definitely not. For the length that this seed has gone on for, almost 2 hours, we can see there Spiffers pausing to congratulate his opponent on the victory here. We'll be continuing on to find that famed big key. Of course, we may see a little bit of different routing here due to him having the hookshot, of course.
Yeah, it looks like we will see the left side play here, which does make sense given the with the hookshot in hand. You probably want to go this way.
Yes, it is definitely the higher density of items. Of course, again, commentator's knowledge is that he won't find much here, as we pretty much have all of the safety items, besides maybe like a couple more hearts, or maybe the last boss will containing a clutch fairy. Vanilla map this time around. Always exciting to see vanilla items in a randomized game.
And it looks like Slim is about ready to jump in for an interview with us. Just be one more second. Meanwhile, Spiffers in the randomizer room.
as
And we are joined by our winner, SlimKirby. GG's, man.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations. Now, how about that hook shot?
Yeah, I was not a fan of that hook shot.
You know, very, very brutal indeed. In like having access to Ganon's tower before being in go mode is already a rare occurrence, and for an item such as the hook shot only being really required for the last gap here must be quite brutal for
Yeah, definitely. That was not a nice location, and judging by how Ice Palace was laid out, like, there was a possibility it could be in there, because I believe you got a big key and a small key immediately, and you had the Cane of Samaria by that point. So while I was going through Ice Palace, I was trying to pay attention to that stuff, and sure enough, when I got to Cold Stare and got the final item, I realized, oh, wow, okay, so I got the small key, I got the big key. That means the hook shot really could be in Ganon's tower. But then, like, the items came in a way where it's like, well, technically, I think with the small keys I got here, I could still access the rest of Ice Palace. So I checked the rest of that, not sure if that was in logic or not, just kind of just being safe, and then I knew right at that point that I was going to make the Ganon's Tower gamble, because it was just looking like it could have been up there, and at the very least, if it wasn't, I knew I was going to be next to Turtle Rock as well.
Yes, it was definitely coming down to the last few locations.
Yeah, so your opponent wasn't really too far behind you going with the 7 crystals. And unfortunately, Spiffers decided to check out Swamp Palace as opposed to Turtle Rock, or going for Ganon's Tower first, so put him a little bit behind.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was, and again, not to say that as they had at his expense, but I was kind of hoping for that, just because it took me a really long time to get Boots and Titan's mitts, since they were both at like a really early location. So I knew that like I couldn't make the swamp gamble, like even if it had a possibility of being there, I couldn't make that gamble just because it would have wasted too much time. And if I was going to make any sort of difference, I would have had to make a gamble like that, because it just took way too long to get those 2 items.
Yeah, interestingly enough, your opponent actually got those 2 items, the Boots and the Titan's mitts, after you did. Both of you completely skipped Hospitals Hut. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. I guess I was kind of banking on that too, I guess.
Yeah. But this seed, it seemed like early on, things were kind of like moving at a pretty nice pace. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like we had so many items just after like Kakariko. It was insane. I really expected it to be a fast seed, and honestly, it could have been a fast seed. Just again, not knowing where that hook shot was going to end up, it really could have been in so many locations. So it was a shame that that item kind of trolled us for so long, but at least it was like one item and not a bunch of items, I suppose.
Yes, definitely. As for a personal question I had, let me take you back all the way to the beginning of the escape sequence. After getting the bombs, of course, almost immediately after we received the hammer. Now, one thing I noticed is the strategy in the room before the boomerang room to walk up the stairs. Was that an intended strat, or?
I don't think so, no.
Because I saw both you and Spiffers doing the exact same thing of walking up the stairs, up and down. So I thought that might have been a hammer strat there.
Oh no! Oh no! That was me accidentally going up the stairs. I was not intending to do that at all.
That is funny. We'll have to ask Spiffers if that was intended on his part, or if he just happened to the exact same.
Yeah, I guess that'd have to be it, I imagine, because yeah, I don't know of any hammer strats like that. I just did that accidentally, and My gosh, that hammer, that escape was just a giant troll, because I was practicing bomb escape before the race started. And sure enough, we get them, but then right after that, we get the hammer. So it's like, oh, okay, well, guess all my practice was for nothing when it did actually give us bombs, which I thought was kind of fun.
Yes, chat.
Yeah,
was quite excited about that.
Yeah. We had called bombs as the item that the uncle was going to give, so we were very excited to see how you guys would handle the bomb strats, only to be thoroughly disappointed with the next item to show up.
Yeah, but, I mean, hey, hammer is fine. You don't run out of ammo or magic, so I'm not going to complain about that.
Definitely not.
Another thing that I was really not wanting to see flippers at all in the entire seed, just because I didn't want not only Swamp to really come into play, but also just all the flipper stuff I skipped, because I did kind of take a bit of a risk there by not fake flippering all the way. Because I got all the stuff for Death Mountain. I'm like, you know, the game's really pushing us up there. We're probably going to get some items up there. And then after that, we have Dark World access too. So because it seems like flippers have a possibility of not being required, I'll just go ahead and leave this on hold. And that did actually work. And really, I don't think the flippers were really required if you know how to fake flipper anyway. Because, yeah, I think there wasn't anything behind, like, Zora or anything. It was just getting to Ice Palace, which is very easily bypassable. So, I did not like seeing the flippers in Palace of Darkness at all.
Yes, fortunately, there wasn't anything too important. One other thing that I would like to mention, went to the Lost Routes in order to check the pedestal. Your stream actually happened to lag at the exact frame before checking the pedestal, and it only got after you checked. So even we, as the commentators in chat, were still in the dark until Spiffers finally checked the pedestal also.
Sorry about that, guys. My internet's not the greatest, but no, it was just a piece of heart, so nothing important.
Yes, it was quite exciting for, at the time, only the boots, I believe, could have been on the pedestal for a required item, or the shovel leading to the boots. Okay, interesting. And don't really want to talk about what happened at the Ganon fight. Yeah, I figured I'd just leave that one out.
I'll go ahead and say I just panicked. That's all it was. The torch going out happened a bit later than I thought, and then all of a sudden I was out of magic, so I'm like, well, whatever, I'll just leave really quick and hope my opponent doesn't finish in this window, because I was right there at the end.
Yes, that would have been very unfortunate to lose a race in that fashion.
Yeah, but I was able to check briefly, and he's in Ganon's tower now, right? Or at the Ganon fight, or close to that. I can't really watch the stream right now.
Yes, he is currently fighting the second Mulgrim.
Okay, cool. So he wasn't too far behind.
We'll get to
see. It was a pretty good, I mean, race on the whole. A lot of back and forth. Took a little while to get the bow, which you had ahead of him by, I don't know, maybe about 10 or 15 minutes. And then the swamp play versus Turtle Rock, I think, was kind of like the nail in the coffin there.
Right.
But all in all, it was a lot of back and forth, so it was an entertaining match for us to be watching.
Well, that's good. That's all I really care about. As long as you guys were entertained, that's all I could ask for.
Yes, definitely one of the more hype matches that I have personally seen. Meanwhile, though, as we find the shovel in the Mulgrim chest here, as Spiffers is heading on to take down Aghanim. Take them down without too much trouble. We'll be heading into the Ganon fight as well. Of course, completely decked out with that level 4 sword and red mail, silver arrows, and a substantial amount of magic more than his opponent the first time around.
All right, so as it was with Slim, gold sword, silver arrows, this fight shouldn't be too much trouble for Spiffers.
As long as he has magic, he should be fine.
He does.
Almost onto the last phase here. Will be putting the first silver arrow here. We'll see if he successfully gets the torch glitch. And he does with a nice fire rod snipe there. Also gets a double, almost a triple even, as the final arrow goes into Ganon, and that will be that for Spiffers.
Boo.
And immediately in the chat here, it's SpifferstheGrand. GG's, man.
Congratulations. Finishing with an official time of 2 hours, 6 minutes, and about 30 seconds here. GG.
Oh, that was something.
Yeah, about that.
And immediately in the chat here, it's
If anyone wants to go
SpifferstheGrand.
back and watch my last
GG's,
tournament
man.
race of this fall tournament, it's basically the
Finishing
same
with an official
thing.
time.
Actually, to be fair, the one last fall was even better. It was Ice Rod by Mushroom on Laser Bridge for my go mode.
Oh no.
So nothing new here.
Yes, it was definitely quite the interesting seed to see. Being able to enter Ganon's Tower before go mode is not something you see every day, of course, within the randomizer.
No, for sure. Actually, thinking about it now, I probably should have entered Ganon's Tower a little bit sooner, on the off chance that Hookshot was in Ganon's Tower, but hey, it wasn't, so that didn't not pay off, at least.
Yeah. So, I guess give us some thoughts on the other aspects of the seed. How did you think it played out early on? It seemed like it was, pretty generous to start, so you guys are able to open up quite a fair bit of the world. So, I don't know, just kind of give us a couple of thoughts on the early part of the game.
Yeah, it was definitely really interesting that I suddenly looked at my map and realized I had all of Dark World. I'm like, wait, I have Dark World access already? Well, I should probably do that soonish. I was a little sad when I came back to Sahasrarla's hut at, 45 minutes or something, and found the Titan's mitts and boots.
Yeah, thankfully, the both of you were rather late with checking the back of Sahasrara, so...
But what else do you do when you have access to desert, when you have access to Dark World, Desert, and Tower of Hera, and Eastern's a pendant? What do you do?
Yes, it was definitely not a bad play to make to go for the required dungeons, of course.
I'm not sure if I beat Kirby to flute, but I feel like that was something that I didn't make enough use of. Not sure how I would have, but
You did get up there first, yeah. So you had the flute maybe, I don't know, 5 or 10 minutes ahead of Slim there.
But
it was kind of hard to make much use of it, though. Like, I mean, you guys were still locked by a couple of items to actually have it be of any huge benefit, but you definitely had it beforehand.
But no, in all, it felt good aside from the silliness of the hook shot. I got Samaria right away, which was great. I forgot about Mushroom, as you guys probably could figure out. Go to Meyer, unlock Meyer. Go, damn it, I have a mushroom. Yeah, that was pretty clutch for you to turn around right in that moment and turn the mushroom in. Because, I mean, obviously it led you to the bow and Palace of Darkness instead of the Meyer clear. Yeah. Which wouldn't have done anything except for be a Meyer clear. Yeah, well, we didn't even have Kena Samari at that point, so you would have had to double dip that one. Yeah, because Kena Samaria was locked by Pod.
Yeah.
Oh, and then I decided to do that risky, just go for Vidi strat, which actually worked out just fine, I think. I'm not sure I actually lost a lot of time on that gamble, if any.
Yeah, no, I don't think you really lost too much time there. It seemed like you were through Meyer pretty quick, so I don't think it cost you a whole heck of a lot.
But no, it's definitely down to Hookshot being silly and me not willing to go to I wanted to leave Turtle Rock to last so that if it was go mode, I could go straight from there instead of having to go up Turtle Rock then come back down. But obviously.
Yep, of course it was on that dumb lava island chest. Oh well.
Yep.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess we're probably going to start wrapping up around here. So, I don't know, any final thoughts on how this run went, you guys?
I'm glad I could show everyone the tile room with Kate.
I did it too.
Well, fine. I didn't show it off first. Be that way.
It's fun. It's so cool. They had to see it twice. So there you go.
Anyways,
Yes,
yeah, GG's.
Oh, hey, GG to you too. Good luck in your next round. And of course, thanks to the commentators and Tracker for putting on this race. And yeah, it was fun.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Awesome. Thanks, you guys. So I guess that's going to about do it for us. So follow our runners. They put on a great show for you today. Thank our tracker, Reg, for doing an excellent job behind the scenes there. Everyone at Speed Gaming for putting all of this together. And I want to thank my co-commentator, Stan, here. Thank you so much for joining me on this one.
Very welcome. I have really enjoyed my time commentating with you, Sawatanda. Again, to both of our runners, GG's. It was a very, very hype race to watch and commentate over.
And with that, I think that's going to do it for us. So there is plenty of randomizer action to check out for the remainder of the day on the various Speed Gaming channels, as well as the Link to the Past randomizer 1 through 4 as well. So keep your eyes posted for more rando action. And that's going to do it for us. So thank you all for watching.
Yes, thank